Welcome to Scotch Plains, New Jersey. This is Verizon Fios, Channel 22, and Comcast Cable, Channel 34. Scotch Plains Television. Your town, your TV.
Scotch Plains Television presents a meeting of the Township Council. And now, from the municipal building, the Scotch Plains Mayor and Council.
Order in the court. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Scotch Plains Business Agenda Meeting of December 16th, 2014. Before we begin, to all our friends celebrating Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah, and please enjoy the Festival of Lights. With that, I would like to call this meeting to order, and Ms. Bonnie Lucina, please.
I wish to make the following announcement to show compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, known as Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of New Jersey, 1975. Notice of this meeting was given by adopting an annual schedule of the location, time, and date, sending copies to the Scotch Plains Family Times, the Star Ledger, and the Courier News, posting in the municipal building, and filing a copy with the Township Clerk within 7 days following the annual organizational meeting of this body. If everyone would please rise for the pledge to the flag and remain standing for our invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Thank you.
Father, be with us and the people of Scotch Plains this evening, particularly on this first day of Hanukkah, and as we approach Christmas Day. Help us be mindful that while this is a wonderful season for most, it can be particularly difficult for those who have lost loved ones or are experiencing financial hardship. We give thanks for the many people who have given their time to our township in the past year as volunteers on so many boards and committees. Please also watch over our first responders, police, fire, and rescue squad as they protect and serve our community. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Jones. The next order, first and foremost, please call the roll. Ms. Lucina?
Mrs. Gillanella?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Marcus?
Here.
Mr. Vastine?
Here.
Mayor Glover?
Here. Next on our agenda is public comment. This portion of the meeting is set aside for anyone who wishes to address this council. Please come forward tonight up to the mic. Do so, and by stating your name and address first.
My name is Alexander Smith, 1451 Martine Avenue. I apologize for my nasally sound. I've had an attack of shingles in October, which led to an attack of sinuses. And so if you quite can't understand me, I apologize. But Terry Bradshaw is right. Watch out for those shingles. The only thing is I took the shot in July and had shingles in October, so make your own mind up on that.
Feel better.
Thank you. Since this is the last council meeting for Deputy Mayor Marcus and Councilman Vastine, I wanted to thank them for their public service. As chairman of the Scotch Plains Republican Committee, I've gotten to know these two gentlemen very well. I know they care so much for Scotch Plains and love living here. Mickey being a lifetime resident and product of Scotch Plains school system, and Bo moving to Scotch Plains several years ago because he knew it was a great place to live. They both have great supportive families. Mickey has his wife Sherry, who's here, and 2 children. Bo has his wife Helen and 2 children, and they both are lovely families. Both Bo and Mickey were elected to town council in 2010, and for the last 4 years, they have poured their hearts and souls into making Scotch Plains a great place to live. This meant countless hours of meetings, not just 2 council meetings a month, but budget meetings, meetings with groups that they were liaison for the council, public events, and just meeting with people to discuss things. Their effort to properly fund the library is just one of their many accomplishments that I know they are very proud of. And during their term on the council, municipal budget percent increases declined year over year until this year the dollar increase was only $11 per average household. I know both of you have a great vision for the future of Scotch Plains, including the restoration of Shady Rest, the Frazee House property, and working with the recommendations of the Downtown Development Committee that both of you were so instrumental in establishing. But although you received many votes in November, it did not get elected. So we'll have to leave that work to the new council. However, I challenge you, both you, Mickey and Bo, as private citizens to continue your work to make your vision of Scotch Plains come true. Thank you again for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Would anybody else like to come and address the council?
Good evening, Mayor. I'm Mark Ginsberg, 40 Spruce Mill Lane. On top of the comments that Mr. Smith made, I was a treasurer and been for many years for the Scotch Plains Republicans, and would like to thank Bo and Mickey for their service, as well as Jerry and Jeff, who probably will cycle back again at some point, as he has other times. Would also like to wish next year's council the best wishes on your endeavors. But additionally, I'm going to do my own little PSA tonight. About, I guess, 8 weeks ago, my doctor scheduled me, because I'm over 50 now, for routine colonoscopy and a nuclear stress test. And fortunately for me, during my stress test, during the nuclear imaging, they found that I had 4 major blockages, and I had open heart surgery about 5 weeks ago. And you know, fortunately for me, no symptoms, but I would have been somebody who probably died shoveling snow this year. So, you know, anybody who hasn't do it, you know, those routine tests, you know, are important for people to do, and so we can all be here for many more years. I just want to.
Mr. Ginsberg, thank you for sharing with us, and that is an excellent PSA announcement.
Yeah.
And I would encourage everyone to do as you've done. You know, you get a second chance sometimes.
5 weeks removed, and
God bless you.
we're all
You look
different.
well.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of and the holidays if I don't see you. Anybody else looking to address the council, please come forward.
Michael Bryan, Winding Brook Way. In the past few weeks, as is traditional when there's outgoing.
Can't hear.
Okay. In the past few weeks, as is traditional with outgoing administrations, new contracts are signed. Some of the citizens in Scotch Plains feel that the recent contracts that were signed are excessive, myself included. And it leads me to believe and wonder, with 2 weeks left in the current administration, is this the end of it? Have there, Mr. Mayor, have there been any discussions with employees, members of the administration, regarding new contracts for compensation, including salary, parachutes, fringe benefits, health insurance, and everything else that's included in the contract? Have there been any discussions that the public does not know about and will be surprised about?
Well, I'll answer 2 of those questions. One, we, in our last meeting, our conference meeting, a police renewal of their contract took place. And today, will be a discussion for a healthcare plan. Aside from that, I'm not aware of anything. I'll defer to Mr. Grimes. Is there anything that the public should know about, or in terms of salaries, any proposals on that front?
I didn't hear.
I was just asking
Okay.
our manager to answer that question, since I don't know of them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else coming forward?
Guido Pasucci, Second Place, Scotch Plains. I got a couple items over here. One of the ordinances that we have on the township, it's an ordinance 23-2.3S, which is a special use permit. Can we add a timeline to this timeline, to this special use permit for the people that needs the special use permit to notify the neighbors at least 30 days in advance before they held an affair over here, because, you know, we've been getting notice. When somebody holds an affair, we get the notice the morning of the meeting, the day before the meeting. We would like to have notice at least 30 days in advance, so this way, in case we have to have one of our lawyers review the application, we have enough time to have the lawyer review the application. Is that feasible?
Mr. Lara?
Mr. Mayor, the current special use permit ordinance requires a 10-day notice. Well, that would be an ordinance change that you wouldn't be able to do tonight, but it's something you can consider for next year.
Thank you, Mr. Lara. I think we can take that under advisement with the next council in the
Because to get
beginning of the year.
to get an appointment with tenant attorney.
No, I wrote it down. I wrote it down.
Okay. There is a report over here on the Scotch Plains Times of this past Thursday, and this report questions township actions in Darby Road permit process. Do you know who paid for this report?
Citizens of Scotch Plains.
The citizen, the taxpayers of Scotch Plains. The report, I imagine, was conducted by a firm in Clinton, hired by who?
Mr. Jarms, would you like to take the lead, or Counselor, one of you?
I recommended to the firm to the council, and the council approved that vote.
Majority
Okay,
vote.
so this was supposed to be an independent report, and you hired the council, am I correct? Who hired?
The council actually approved, the majority of council approved the contract.
The majority, not the contract. Who hired the firm to have this report? That's what I'm saying. Who hired, he
We
hired
did.
the firm.
They-
Am I
the
correct?
council did.
Excuse me, Miss,
The council did.
Councilman, this exchange is not between you and our citizen. I mean, we've
So
directed
the
Mr.
council,
Lara.
The council approved it,
okay. I find this a little trouble because there's meetings. If this independent guy would interview the proper people, this report would never been published, because this report is full of lies. First of all, I want to know who's the citizen that lives behind Darby Road. I don't know who's the citizen that lives behind Darby Road.
Mr. Pasucci, the report speaks for itself. I mean, you can ask all the questions you want and make the statements you want, but it speaks for itself. We
So in
didn't
other
write
words,
it.
I cannot get no answer out of this report.
I didn't write it, he did.
They didn't interview the proper people. They didn't interview the proper people, and yet they make this report out. They kept a mention. It's either the guy that lives behind Darby Road, or either a resident that lives behind Darby Road, and that there is accusation over here, which I really don't know who is this guy that lives behind Darby Road. Somebody's got to live behind. Who is that? Somebody didn't mention the name because of defamation of character, because they probably would be slandered or a lawsuit. Is that why this name was not mentioned? I mean, there's some accusation over here that I really like to know. Who is this guy that lives behind Darby Road? Who is the resident that lives behind Darby Road? I mean, we make an accusation over here, but we're not publishing any names. I mean, if you guys don't have answers, fine. I mean,
There's no answers
There
from
are no
us.
answers
You
from
won't
us.
get answers from us. We didn't write it.
okay, so therefore, there is a guy who lives behind the road. There's been made an accusation. We don't know who lives back there. Good, thank you.
Mr. Pasucci, as always, thank you for coming forward to clarify that for everyone. Is anyone else looking to address the council? If you are, you need to come to the microphone, please. And state your name and address, if you would.
Carolyn Perkins, 861 Westfield Road.
Good evening, Ms. Perkins.
Hi, Mr. Pastucci, I always appreciate your input. I read the Scotch Plains Times last week too, and I was very upset about the content of what we are giving our outgoing manager. 5 months severance, we only have to give 3, so that's an extra $20,000 in his pocket and out of the taxpayers. Mr. Jones, you mentioned when you said your prayer about the people who are having financial difficulties. As far as I'm concerned, there are a number of people, maybe not in this room, but in this town, and I speak for a lot of seniors, who are having financial difficulties. Now, if we're going to give the town manager a year's worth of medical benefits, I see us giving away about $90,000, roughly. It's nothing against you, Jerry, but I do believe we have to be accountable for our actions. Enough is enough. The Darby Road is a very nice business, and it does attract people. I appreciate that. The Shady Refs needed its roof for over a year. Maybe the extra money we're giving the town manager could be used to better use. The pavilion at Brookside Park is still a disaster. I don't know where our thinking is. We look at these signs or flags in the library area, our town, our pride. I'm sorry, some people say it's our humiliation. I'm sorry, that's where it is.
Thank you for coming forward this evening. Anybody looking to please to address the council, if you would? Please state your name and address, sir.
Charles Kelp, 385 Westfield Road, Scotch Plains. My concern is with
Please, if you could talk into the mic, I'm hearing.
as a concerned resident, I've heard that we've laid our building inspector off, which is an unfortunate event, because I feel that the man has put in more than adequate time. He's in early every morning. I actually sat down and I added up the 2 hours that he comes in every morning. I multiplied it times 5 days a week. I multiplied it times 12. It worked out to be 15,000 hours that he's come and given to this town out of his time to help us get through filling out proper permits and doing things the correct way. I can't believe that after 35 years that this council has found that the man is incapable or should be fired from his job. Now, I don't know your particulars, but I hope that tonight you might enlighten us as to why Mr. LaCosta was let go.
Members of the council, I'm going to say this.
But I was just going to say, first and foremost, the council does not hire or fire people.
Okay,
Just
I
to
understand
I just
that.
want to clarify it now, Mr. Lara.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the public, and it seems like there's a number of people here in support of Mr. LaCosta. I would like to just say that the council is really not going to be able to respond to any of your questions. You can come up and say what you want, and that's fair. You have the right to do that. But this is the subject of a disciplinary hearing. There will be a formal hearing. I will advise, and I have advised the members of the governing body that they really cannot respond. I am not going to respond. The manager's not going to respond. This is the subject of a disciplinary hearing, and there will be
But as a
time for that.
taxpayer, I feel that the council that's leaving is leaving us with a disaster, and I think a lot of the residents feel the same way. We need to pull together, both Republicans and Democrat, and be for the people. This seems very much like and I don't know what the particulars are, and obviously we're not going to hear them tonight. But there's a lot of people that stand behind Bobby. Me as one, I've bought several houses in Scotch Plains, have done several renovations to houses. He has always helped in filling out the proper permits, and I do think that our building department runs fairly smooth. I just hope that what might have been done wrong can be corrected with the new coming council, or maybe this council can correct some of the stuff that has happened before they leave. Thank you.
Kirk, thank you for coming out today.
Excuse me,
Excuse me.
No,
No. Excuse me.
No.
No.
I want to say one
Mr.
thing.
Lara.
Jeff, I think
Mr. Lara.
you commented on it, but I think it's important to note, and it's a sensitive subject, and I understand what you're asking, but the council has nothing to do with.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Don't just call out, sir.
Wait a minute,
The
hold on.
council has nothing to do with a personnel decision. That needs
That's
to be
correct.
clarified.
It is
Wait a minute.
You said that,
Excuse
sir,
me. Point
that
of
you
order,
understood
Mr.
it,
Lara. We
but
made
that's
that
what you
point very
said.
clear early on.
That's
We don't need
unfair.
to have it repeated.
That's
And I
unfair.
think he's out of line to take
Yeah, I'm not out
the
of
chair
line
here
because
from me.
it needs to be clearly
Mr.
understood.
Lara, please.
Members, can I just say
Out
something?
of line.
And-
Okay.
And
You're out of
ladies and
line to
gentlemen,
clarify the
ladies
truth.
and gentlemen, let's have some
That's-
order.
that's really
I'm
unfair.
I'm saddened that
Members-
someone thinks that it needed to be said again. I made it very clear that this council does not hire, nor does it terminate,
Fine.
nor does it discipline.
Fine.
I don't see the reason for repeating it, other than to create this kind of contentious atmosphere. We don't need it.
Well,
There's an investigation, as Mr. Lara said, that is being pursued or on a disciplinary matter. And folks, I would respect that you respect that
process.
this process will go forward. And I don't think this council should comment any further. I'm disappointed with that I too have seen blogs from individuals, okay, who are councilmen, apparently, who believe, Mr. Lara, that they can engage in this kind of dialogue on blogs. And you've made it abundantly clear, quite clear to this council, that matters in executive session or any personnel matter should not, be handled in that fashion. And I think you're nodding your head in complete agreement, because I know you pointed that out to our incoming council persons, but only 2 weeks ago. So to the extent that that needs to stop, or there will be a hearing on that and an investigation, Mr. Lara, I think we have to stop this.
I agree. For members of the public that are here in support of Mr. Lacosta, I know there's a number of you here. There is really nothing this council can say to you. This is purely a management prerogative, management decision. There will be a full hearing on this issue, and so we can't stifle you from speaking, but you won't get any responses from this governing body, and that's my direction.
And with that, if someone chooses to speak to that point, Mr. Lara, I concur. We're not here to take away someone's civil liberties. Is there anyone else that would like to address this council, please? I see one coming forward. Please state your name and address once again.
Jim Cecchio, Happel Court, next to the high school. I've been before the council. I've been at this podium a few times. Sorry.
You need to fix this mic.
I live on Happel Court, 2 Happel Court, the corner of Happel Court next to the high school entrance. I made mention of an altercation I had with the manager several months back. The lawyer informed me that they were going to discuss this, where he went on a verbal tirade against me, laced with profanities, and then I was told it was going to be addressed. Nothing has been addressed. He's leaving office now. After last meeting, he tried to informally talk to me outside about it, saying that I initiated it. And he acted like that because I initiated it, okay?
Those words didn't come from my mouth. I don't know if you were talking about me or...
You and the mayor both said that the council was going to discuss it.
Oh, but you said there's something about me initiating something, that you initiated
No,
something?
the manager who's sitting next to you.
I didn't say those words.
I don't think he said
That he said that I initiated
I see what you said.
his
Okay,
verbal
I see.
tirade and his
Yeah.
profanities at me in his office.
Mr. Cecchio, let me just
Yes,
respond.
Dr.
You are right
Cecchio
that,
to you.
that Jerry is leaving and I'm leaving, but this issue is one...
Wait a minute. Please, I will respect that you adhere to the proper decorum in this courtroom. Mr. Lara, you were speaking.
Sure. The issue that you're asking this council to address is not one that is within their jurisdiction. You understand that. That all personnel issues are issues within the prerogative of the management.
Oh, so he'll decide on that.
Well, it may not be him ultimately.
That makes sense
but,
to you?
But I don't know what it is. If you have a formal complaint for harassment that you wanted to file,
Well, I
you
was
have
trying
your
to do
rights.
it without having to lodge a complaint. I wanted to discuss it, and we never discussed it. And nor, I guess I had
I'm
to
not
lodge
sure.
a formal complaint.
I'm not sure legally what you're asking this council to
You
do.
work for my cousin's law firm, don't you? Don DeFrancesco? I think
I'm
I
not gonna
mentioned to you
I didn't say
after
you,
that.
No one said you had to.
I think
Can
I
you-
mentioned
can you-
that.
Can, please, if you would, Mr. Cecchio.
Okay.
Just move it up court.
I talked to him. He said he was going to talk to the lawyer. I haven't heard a word. That's all.
I don't have
I'm-
anything further to say.
Okay, either do I.
In the context of that, I think,
Getting back to Shady Rest, it is time that we finally do something about it, and I hope it was nothing to do with the election and who was going to win as to when we were going to start things, and that's about it. I don't really want to.
I'm happy to share with you. I know you've been
Thank you.
very passionate about the Shady Rest, and it looks like they will get a new roof finally. Okay, do I see anybody else coming forward, scanning the room? Not seeing anybody, let's move on. We have some promotions, and we have Chief Mahoney with us today. And I see members of the rank and file, and I happen to know a couple of those who will be so promoted, and I'm happy to be here listening to the Chief's wonderful words of wisdom.
You all know, especially during this holiday season, how much I love to be at these council meetings. So it's really a pleasure for me to be here, but it truly is tonight. And in fairness to Mr. Lair, I think the majority of people are here to support the good, fine work that the men and women of the police department, a lot of whom are here, are also here to do that. Whatever the rest of the agenda brings, it brings, because it's welcome to our world. Tonight, I make two announcements tonight. The first one, I'd like to have Ted Conley just come forward. I just want to introduce Ted. The mayor and council know him. To the rest of the public, back in October, the captain of the police department left abruptly and under less than desirable circumstances. We moved quickly to make a provisional appointment to the rank of captain to Ted Conley, who was a lieutenant with the police department, and he was in that position since 2011. Provisional appointment simply means that by civil service rules and regulations that we follow, the state organization, we did not have a complete list for promotion. We were in the process of having that list completed. So Ted was given a provisional appointment to that rank, and as long as he meets the criteria of the Department of Personnel, the Civil Service Commission, he would be able to be moved permanently into the rank of captain. I look forward to working with Ted for the next few years to come at the very least. Ted is a loyal and trusted friend and employee and has the best interests of the community at heart, and I think he should be congratulated on this appointment to captain tonight. Ted spent several years in the what we call the support services division. Mrs. Perkins, you'll be glad to hear that Ted spent several years writing grants for the police department. We've received hundreds of thousands of dollars in grant opportunities and free equipment and things like that over the years, basically based on all his hard work. His departure from that division and movement into the captain's position as the second in command of the police department left us with another significant void. So I'm here tonight, and I'll ask Beverly Peel to come forward. Before Beverly is officially sworn in as a lieutenant tonight, I'll do a short bio on her accomplishments. I know Beverly well. We both graduated the class of 1982 from Scotch Plains Fanwood High School. So I should shut my phone off while I'm talking.
It's a nice ring.
It's my father. He's probably trying to tell me stop using my hand. He tells me don't use my hands.
Well, you're Italian.
When I talk.
No, he's not.
I'm teasing.
No, he's not.
Okay, where was I? Beverly graduated from the high school in 1982, the class of 82. We have several police officers, several professionals in our class. We also had 4 murderers in our class. But it's okay, we locked up 2 of them ourselves personally at the police department. She went on to become a paramedic and had a career in the medical field. After that, in 1993, she graduated from Union County College with an associate's degree in biology, and subsequently was hired by the police department back in 1993. In 1996, while employed with the police department, she received a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Rutgers University, and she is currently pursuing a master's degree from Fairleigh Dickinson University in administrative sciences. Beverly was promoted to the rank of sergeant. She was the second female police officer ever appointed to the police department, which is an accomplishment in and of itself. And in 2001 was promoted to the rank of sergeant, becoming the first female police officer promoted to the rank of sergeant in Scotch Plains history. Tonight, obviously, should be the first one promoted to lieutenant in Scotch Plains history.
Yes!
Among Bev's other accomplishments in her career, she has life-saving medals, using her medical background to save lives that we're very proud of. She's handled the a lot of the training responsibilities for our department for several years now in CPR and medical training for our officers so that we can render that most important first aid when we need to respond to your residences. She's handled several administrative responsibilities for the department that we whack up amongst our supervisors. She's a liaison to the New Jersey State Police, handling the TAC responsibilities of our computer system. So her promotion to lieutenant was effective December 1st, and I'm very proud to introduce Lieutenant Bev Peel. Clerk, can you be sworn?
That doesn't start well. Let's start that again, Ms. Lucina.
I state your name.
I, Beverly Peel,
Do solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
and justly perform
all the duties
of Lieutenant of the Scotch Plains Police Department
of Lieutenant of the Scotch Plains Police Department
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I'd like to congratulate Mom. So, you have to mistakenly refer to you as Sergeant. It gives me great honor to refer to you now as our Lieutenant. Thank you. Mom, done good. I'm sorry.
Lieutenant, if you would just, for a moment, maybe introduce your family, some of your friends that are here, and make a speech. You're moving up the ladder now. You're gonna start making speeches.
My dad, my mom, my brother Jeff, my sister's in the back with the camera. The man of my life for the last 15 years, Al. The guys from the department, a lot of my friends that are here.
It's wonderful.
It's great to see all the support. Thank you.
As I said, congratulations to both these fine officers, and I want to thank all the members of the department that came out tonight in support of these two individuals and all the hard work that they do. We look forward to that. Bev will continue in that role of support services, and we're looking to really seize on her administrative abilities and intellect to help move the department forward, and Captain Conley as well. So, at this point, at the risk of giving Holden something to type about, I want to thank Councilman Vastine and Marcus for your service to the township on the eve of your last meeting. I also want to thank the rest of the council for everything that you guys do for the township and all the hard work that you put in. It's sometimes a very thankless job. We get it. We understand it. Mr. Lair and Mr. Jimes, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you guys, Mr. Lair, for your advice and wisdom. And Mr. Jimes, I have to tell you, on a personal level, from the police department standpoint, I appreciate everything you've done for our department, the hard work that we each put in, the working relationship that we had, really embodied what a township manager should do. In our form of government, it's difficult oftentimes, and you know that, and I know that. There's political issues that we have to deal with, but when we dealt with each other, we dealt with the manager and the police department. So I appreciate that, and I wish you well in all your future endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have. I'll leave you to the end of the meeting, because I'm leaving.
You good? Okay, the next item up on our agenda, we'll just wait for a minute or so. The House clear. What's that? That's what I'm gonna do. Ladies and gentlemen, the next item up on our agenda is a presentation from the Downtown Development Ad Hoc Committee. Can we close those doors back there, folks? Can we close the doors? Please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Joe Doyle, and I'm a member of the Scotch Plains Downtown Redevelopment Committee and also serve... Okay. My name is Joe Doyle, and I'm a member of the Scotch Plains Downtown Redevelopment Committee, and I also serve on the Scotch Plains Planning Board. Both of them are voluntary positions. First, I would like to note that there are a total of 8 members on the Downtown Committee. The other 7 members are Joe Mortarulo of Darby Road Restaurant on Park Avenue, Bill McClintock, who is here with us in the audience. He's a former mayor and a businessman who has an office on 2nd Avenue, Thomas Russo Esquire, whose office is on Park Avenue, Town Attorney Jeffrey Lair, who's also recognized as one of the state's finest land use attorneys, Catherine Dreyer, a co-founder of the philanthropic Little Shoebox Project and former president of the Scotch Plains Club, and Catherine is here with us tonight, and David Cecchio of Elite Properties, Fanwood Crossing, and our most recent addition is Tashira Wheeler, a resident mother and graphic designer. All members participate as volunteers and bring their expertise without any compensation. In fact, the entire activity of this committee, including this report, has been without cost to the township. Since my first update to the council on August 12, the Township Committee has met twice each month on Thursday mornings at 8:45 in Town Hall. We've invited and have been very fortunate to have a number of experts willing to meet with us to share their thoughts. They include Mindy Scarlett of the Scarlett Marketing Group, Sherry Cronin of the Downtown Westfield Corporation, Victor Venegra of the Scotch Plains, planner to the Scotch Plains Planning Board, and Bill Neerstead, Director of Planning in Plainfield. Further, we've had fruitful discussions with Scotch Plains officials, including Paulette Coronado, Planning Board Chair, Kent Anderson, Zoning Board Chair, and Bob LaCosta. While the committee has examined many areas in its short span, it is prepared to focus on 3 to recommend at this time. And if you are aware, I don't know if everyone is, this is essentially a think tank. This is not a committee that can take action on its own. It needs to be needs to meet with the approval of the governing body in order to implement any of its suggestions. First of all, we have 3 ideas that we would like to advance. One is a jitney study. The committee recommends an in-depth review of establishing a jitney service for commuters and downtown shoppers. A study was conducted some time ago with unfavorable results. This may be the time to take another look to see whether private, public, or municipal services could feasibly provide a jitney. The Township of Maplewood operates a local service that could serve as a model for Scotch Plains. This one might surprise you. Signage at the train station. The committee recommends that the Township petitions New Jersey Transit to include the name of Scotch Plains on the local railroad station. Although physically located in Fanwood, Scotch Plains was within arm's reach and is closer than any other neighboring town to destinations along the route. The idea came from Bill Neerstead, who is the planner of the city of Plainfield. And finally, we're going to recommend, and I hope that the council approves, as a first step in the process of invigorating attention toward the Scotch Plains downtown, the committee recommends that the council allows the establishment of a downtown promotional marketing subcommittee that would oversee a unique competition among the township high school students. The purpose would be to brand Scotch Plains downtown district with a dynamic image through creative media and logo. Of course, the Board of Education must approve and assist with the logistics. There are many other areas and individuals yet to be explored in the interests of the downtown Scotch Plains. Aside from recommendations named above, the committee will devise a questionnaire for local merchants to gain insight into perceived problems and success potential, investigate sources of technical and financial aid, look at neighboring towns and ordinances to learn what works and what does not. The Downtown Committee, while it depends upon the Township Council to authorize implementation of its ideas, appreciates the independence that it has enjoyed while pursuing its work. It gives members confidence that ideas can be freely and fully discussed. I might add that another advantage of this committee is that its work will contribute directly to the Township's Master Plan Reexamination Report, now in progress toward adoption in 2 years. The volume of the volunteer work on this committee toward the Planning Board's master plan will result in a great deal of cost savings for the Township. A copy of this report and formal correspondence outlining the jitney study, train station signage, and contest will be forwarded to the council after the new year. Of course, we are always at your disposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing to our attention, and we'll look forward to seeing the formal report. The last time you spoke, I had made reference to the resolution that established the ad hoc committee with respect to minutes that were to be taken at the meetings, and you had requested to get copies of them. Regrettably, for some reason, I haven't as yet. Can I once again formally ask that I get a copy of the minutes?
Mayor, you may, and I was not responsible for those minutes, and they were not formal minutes. We don't have a chairman. We're operating without a chairman and without any kind of cohesive unity in that regard so far as recording. I did promise minutes, and we do have minutes, in fact, that have been compiled just within the last few days. Most of the meetings that we have had, and I think there are 14 or 15, are in fact recorded. I'll get notes or something to you.
Just to follow up if I may, that's all.
That's perfectly fine.
Thank you.
If there are any other questions, I'd be happy.
I do. I have a couple things that I wanted to say. First, I wanted to thank you for your service and thank your family. I believe your son serves with my husband on the zoning board. Thank you for your family's commitment
Thank you.
to the township. I appreciate it. And for the entire committee, I know that 8:45 on a Thursday morning, I'm sure, is a challenging time. Many of you have employment responsibilities, and I know it's a lot. And thank you for being there as well. And I agree with the comments that were made about you. I do want to say this. When you read Mrs. Dreyer's bio, I know that there are several things that you omitted, and I'm sure that that is the case for all of the members. But I want to speak just for a second about kind of the new powerhouse and momentum of volunteerism that is happening in a new generation of folks inside Scotch Plains, and how much I appreciate the fact that we need to continue to reach into our young families, because we can't continue to count on the same people all of the time to step forward and serve the township. It just becomes too much. So I want to thank you and thank people like you. Catherine, I first got to know her when she organized a mother's group at St. Bartholomew's. And that went so far beyond, the church, and really serving the community and bringing young mothers together and helping to tap into that wealth of knowledge. And that, I think, is a big piece of adding value to any conversations about the downtown. And that's why I was so happy to have Catherine and to Shira join the downtown committee, because these are really people who are going into the downtown and are likely to spend money there. And I want to thank you for that. I also want to comment on the recommendation to include the Scotch Plains Fanwood High School students in whatever work that we can find to tap into their talents. I think that is a fabulous recommendation, especially our seniors, because they do have time at the end of the school year, senior year, to explore internship opportunities. And I think that is an incredible asset to the community that we have not done enough yet to tap into as a township or in our local businesses as much as we could have. But I just did want to add a side note. As the principal of the county's technology and business school, which is also located here in Scotch Plains, I can commit the talents of my students to the assistance of any one of the 21 municipalities who seek assistance. They are extremely well educated and motivated students, and if we can provide assistance to the committee as well, just know that we are also available and happy to do so.
As I said, that is going to be fleshed out, and a report is going to be coming to you, because we were looking to include all the high school students and have this expanded activity. And that includes all the families as well.
You really can't go
thank you.
wrong, because our high school is so amazing. We also have this incredible vocational program housed in Scotch Plains. So thank you.
Thank you again for coming out this evening. The next thing on our agenda is second final reading, final adoption of an ordinance. Ms. Lucina.
Ordinance number 2014-10, an ordinance granting renewal of municipal consent to Comcast to construct, connect, operate, and maintain a cable television and communication system in the township of Scotch Plains, New Jersey.
Do I have a motion on this ordinance, please? Second and final reading.
Move that
Councilman?
the public hearing on this ordinance be opened.
Anyone wishing to address? Second. Anyone wishing to address this matter, please come to the mic. Seeing no one, I'll move that the public hearing be closed. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Councilman, Deputy Mayor?
I move that this ordinance be adopted on second and final reading and be advertised according to law.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marcus?
Aye.
Mr. Vastine?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the council minutes. May I have a motion on that, please?
Yes, I'd like to move for approval the council conference and business meeting minutes of November 12th, 2014.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next item is manager's report. Mr. Jimes, please.
All my comments will be related to the accompanying resolutions. I would just like to take the time to wish the council the best of luck in the future. To the new council people, the same thing. And the people of this community, I think I have said many times in the last several days, I do believe this is a great community. And I, despite the difficulties, have enjoyed my time here, and I truly wish everybody the best, the entire mayor and council and the incoming people as well. So, thank you.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.
Let's see, the next item we have here is report of special committees. Do we have something from you, Deputy Mayor, on our rec department?
Well, I have to tell you, I do not.
No.
I do
geez.
not have
Okay.
anything this evening from the rec department.
Well, that's good. Then we'll just move right. Anyone else have a special committee report? A committee report now, I'm asking. Nothing ad hoc here. Committee reports? No, but I do have one then. This year we had our 2014 holiday celebration just about a week or so ago, and those who attended know it probably was the best one that was put on in our community. I mean, it was incredibly well attended. Mind you, it was albeit cold as well, but I think it's important to recognize the folks who made that holiday celebration as special as it was. And with that, we have Trainer Chiropractic, who was one of the sponsors, Caffrey Tree Service, Rossi Funeral Home, State Farm Insurance, Sounds Hearing, the PBA came through big for us on this event, Joint Motion, EKA Consultants, and then also any committee or event needs volunteers, and to that I want to deeply thank the following volunteers: Ms. Irene Bartels, Ms. Sylvia Hicks, Ms. Kim Nix, Councilwoman-elect Rose Cecchio, Councilwoman Colleen Giovanella, and my First Lady for 42 years, Joanne Glover. Just a side note, oh, well, she didn't put her name here, but Lee Simone from Apple Blossom, who really makes things happen in this town. We thank you, Lisa, for everything you do. You make it really special. You made this event really special. Hot chocolate was provided by the volunteer fire department, I have to share with you. Cupcakes were available from Dance to 2000. In addition to the horse-drawn carriages this year, we had pony rides, a petting zoo. This year we also had caricature artists, face painters, ornament designing by Let's Monet, and tree decorating. Our special guest, of course, this year, every year, was Santa Claus, and a very special guest this year was Queen Elsa from Frozen. So thank you all for making that holiday celebration spectacular. Once again, thank you, Lisa Moan from Apple Blossom, for really being out in front of it. And in fact, I probably didn't mention your name because you never want to take credit for anything, and you deferred to everyone else for their hard work and their commitment. So thank you all again. And
Mayor, can I just piggyback off of that for 1 second? I just wanted to make sure that we also thank Stephen Dahl from the Recreation Department. It should really be noted that Stephen has become a very familiar face for the Recreation Department at events like the Halloween event that we share with Fanwood. Stephen is the face of the department, and he was the face of the department again this year at the tree lighting. He works incredibly hard to provide fabulous services to the residents of this community. He always has a smile on his face. He's extremely pleasant when he represents the township in that capacity. And I just wanted to say it was an absolute pleasure to see him again working so hard at this event. So thank you.
Again. The next item, we have reports of special committees. We're done. New business, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to move the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to move the consent agenda?
I'd like to move the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Second. Before we vote on it, as has been our practice, Mr. Gimes, will you take it through it? I might have a question or two, but I think we can navigate them.
Number 155 is the standard 100% disabled veteran status that's been approved by the state and our tax department. 156 is a resolution denying a performance bond guarantee for Mr. Vincent Wilt for a 5-lot subdivision. Our assistant engineer has communicated with them. They're fully aware of what they need to do. He's communicated with their engineer, and they're in the process of complying. And we don't expect it to be much longer until that gets fixed. Resolution 157 is the transfer of funds. All of those items are identified in the accompanying resolution. 158 and 159 on the advice of our tax counsel, Mr. Renard. These are tax appeal settlements. And Jeff can take you through 160 with Heather Glenn if you have any questions on that. And 161 is the award of the contract to Integrity Roofing for the Scotch Hills Country Club roof replacement in the amount not to exceed $158,000. And Jeff and I, if you have any questions, can take you through the details of that.
Mayor, council members, Heather Glenn, fully aware of, we talked about it in closed session, so that's the exact amount that we authorized. So it's just memorializing the settlement.
Thank you, Mr. Lehrer. 161, did you mention that?
Yeah, 161, the Shady Rest roof. We received 4 bids. We are awarding to the second lowest bidder, Integrity Roofing of Rahway, New Jersey. The first lowest bidder had had one very glaring fatal defect. I mean, paperwork error, but a defect nonetheless. So Jeff's office ruled on that, and there wasn't much we could do. So the $158,000 is there. We're using the money that was transferred, I'm sorry, not transferred, the money that was reallocated when you passed the ordinance last year, allowing for a change of use of funds in addition to some transfer funds from another account as evidenced in Resolution 157.
Okay, thank you. I just had two questions. The Resolution 157, transfer funds, I saw the attachment. I just want to make sure there's no, that's not for salaries. There's nothing going to salaries there, right, correct?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so, but I just wanted to confirm that. And on the 161, I recognize it was the fatal flaw and we need to reject them. I mean, they were considerably less. That said, can we get, the council get a copy of the final submittal from? No, from the fellow who won, the company that won. Well, it wasn't part of my package, that's why, to look at before we came here tonight. So I'd like to see that, and you say not to exceed. That gives me hope that this will not be 158,000.
I don't know, I mean.
What was the proposal for that? 116? No, please. There'll be another public comment session later, you can ask the question. So 116, okay, so again, having that document would have allowed me to see that. All right, so I'm with you. I'm gonna be hopeful it's 116. All right, that said, great. Can I get a copy of that at least, by tomorrow, if is it possible? Thank you. You can just have somebody send it to me. Other new business, we have a bill list in the amount of, please, if you would move the bill list, or may I have a motion to move it?
I think we voted on the consent agenda.
Vote on the consent agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. See how quickly we're moving on? Almost got away with it, too. All right, vote on the consent agenda. A roll call, please. There's money involved here.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marcus?
Aye.
Mr. Vastine?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. Guess I was so excited hearing 116 versus 158. May I have a motion on the bill list, please?
Yes, I'd like to move for approval of the bill list in the amount of $5,647,205.15.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any comments does anyone have on the bill list? I know last time I had some questions, Mr. Jives, I didn't get answers to them, but if you could just send them to me.
I have a detail that you asked about, if I remember, the jackhammer. There was a generator bill, and a check in the window, so I have all that information for you.
All right, just if you could send it to me, please. Any questions on this bill list, council? Okay, hearing none, here we go. Do we just do a roll call? We need a, please.
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marcus?
Aye.
Mr. Vastine?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. May I have a motion on resolution 2014-162?
Yes, I'd like to move for approval of Resolution 2014-162. Will someone read that, or you want me to read it? You want me to read it?
By all means.
Resolution designating Oxford as the Employee Medical Plan Benefits Program and Benecard as the Employee Prescription Benefits Program for the period January 1, 2015 through March 31, 2015, pending the approval of the State Health Benefits Program transition.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Discussion? Mr. Firstall, if you'd like to speak to this?
This is renewing the current plan we have for the 3 months pending the vote that you take on 163. In the event you decide not to take the savings and move, you will, come March, just renew that for the next 9 months. This is the current plan that we have.
So what happened, does anyone have any questions regarding this?
Yeah, if you could just expound for us a little bit
Please.
on why we can't go to state health benefits for this on January 1 if you wanted.
Well, you're required to give notice, and it takes them about 2 or 3 months to process your application.
That's on the state health benefits
Yes.
side plan?
Yes.
So that's the quickest the state can do it?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
And we didn't get the renewal numbers from our brokers until maybe within the final numbers within the last 2 or 3 weeks. So.
But this isn't a conversation about state health benefits plans for 162. For 162, we're renewing the current prescription plan. Yeah. It's a
Once-
separate conversation.
That's correct. So this is simply an extension for 3 months. We're not voting for anything further on this, Mr. Giles. Yes?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay, so.
Refreshing my agenda.
It's all right. I guess we'll hear more about the other plans following. Any other questions then? 3-month renewal? Has the, okay, well, that would be appropriate to ask that next question on the next matter. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marcus?
Aye.
Mr. Vastine?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Aye. May I have a motion on resolution 2014-163?
Yes, I'd like to move for approval, Resolution 2014-163, authorizing participation in the State Health Benefits Program of the State of New Jersey.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Giles, can you share?
Sure. I'm going to spend about 5 minutes taking you through some numbers, giving you some figures. Last year when we had this discussion, the question was raised as to whether or not it would be beneficial to make the switch to the state health benefits plan. Last year, the savings for going into the state health benefits plan was only around $70,000. And for $70,000, it probably wasn't worth going through all the hassle. Definitely wasn't worth going through all the hassle to make that switch for such a small savings in the grand scheme of things. I know from talking to administrators and managers across the state, health insurance has significantly gone up, as I'm sure you know. It's continuing to go up. Before I get into the numbers, I will tell you that 2 things. One, the proposed plan, the state health benefits plan offers 11 different plans to choose from. We compared the best plan they had to our plan, and when you look at the totality of the plans, it is an equal to or better than plan. So it satisfies the union requirements. I met with both the police union PBA representatives, and I met with Public Works and Recreation representatives today. And although the non-union staff doesn't have a contract and we can just do it, I met with them to kind of give them, tell them what was going on and what was going to be happening here tonight. Our current plan with health and prescription right now, as it stands, without any renewals, you're paying $2,754,812. If you renew that same plan for the next 12 months, you now would be paying $3,253,634. That's an increase of $498,822, just under $500,000. The brokers went back and forth. When the initial renewal came in, it was a 35% increase. Then it went down to 23, then it went down to 18, but it's still at 15%. So that's a 15% increase at just under $500,000. That's a lot of money to add to a municipal budget. State health benefits plan, for the best plan, the health plan is $2,218,693, and the prescription is $576,400. The total for that is $2,795,092. That is a $458,542 savings from the proposed rates for the current plan. So if you make the switch to the state health benefits plan, you will save just under $459,000. And that will only represent an increase of $40,000 from last year's health insurance. Now, I say $40,000, but in all likelihood, it's going to be significantly lower, maybe flat, and possibly a decrease, because the employees will have the option to choose one of 11 plans. We're the numbers, for the sake of our math, we're using the most expensive plan because it's the best plan. So, in talking, I know just in talking to some of our police officers and our public works guys, if they take a lesser plan, they're, may have a higher copay, but they're going to have more money in their pocket because they're not paying as much in contributions based on the premium. So, that's entirely up to them, but I already know that several of them have said, in all likelihood, they would probably take a lesser plan that just suits their needs better. It's going to be contingent on age and whether they have family and, the health of their family. So, that's where it stands. I mean, the numbers are simple. It's a just under $500,000 increase if you stay with the current plan for the next 12 months. It's a savings of $458,000 if you switch to the state health benefits plan. The state health benefits plan is used by all state employees, state police, and 63% of municipalities in New Jersey use the state health benefits plan, and about a third of the counties use the state health benefits plan. This is not something that the brokers normally make a recommendation on. They don't. They just provide the guidance and tell you. There was a view for a long time. One that I admittedly subscribed to for some time was that the state plan in years past probably wasn't as good as a lot of the private plans. That's definitely changed, and that's evidenced by the numbers that are there, and that's evidenced by the comparability of the plans. So, that's the decision that has to be made. It's about a 2-3 month process. The brokers will certainly walk us through it. They're very competent to do that. The state comes in and spends a lot of time with employees, helping them make the switch. And, again, as a matter of equal to or better than, it satisfies that requirement. So, at this point, it's just a matter of, do you want to realize the $458,000 savings, or stay with what we have and deal with an increase? Now, and I'll leave it with this. The question always comes up is, will the state health benefits plan increase? Sure it will. Just like the private plan will increase. They always increase. So I think it would be in the best interest of the township to make that decision based on the numbers that you have, and the numbers I gave you in the email the other day with the comparisons of the plans.
I have a couple questions for my own personal benefit and for the benefit of the public as well. Full disclaimer, I am in the state health benefit plan. So, and have been in my last position as well as in my current position. Prior to the transition in my last position, because we went from traditional, it was a different, actually it was the same plan, but now we are going into the state's version of it. We had a number of meetings, both for the teachers union and the administrators union. The broker came in and met with us and really kind of walked us through a lot of it. I think that $450,000 is basically a no-brainer. I understand that piece of it, but I also know that grievances and arbitration can get a little bit expensive as well. So my only question is there some sense and logic to delaying this just the 1 month, till the next council meeting and having a vote on it then, so that we can have a conversation, have the broker here at the meeting, make sure that the broker has been available to all of the unions, that this has been, and listen, I appreciate the fact that you took the time to meet with the different groups, I do. But in all of my experience, that was something that the business administrator did alongside with the brokerage firm, because the conversations about health benefits can be so specific. And quite frankly, that's why we pay a broker. So I'm just wondering, due to the proximity to the holidays, the closeness to the end of the year, I feel like we have a lot of things in the hopper right now. If it behooves us to delay this vote just for 1 month, so that we can make sure that everybody feels that they have really been empowered with the right decision-making material.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a council option. I mean, I will defer to the governing body on that. Does it harm us? I think it might push us back another month because there are notice requirements as that we have to give. I can,
It sounds like we built ourselves some wiggle room in here because the end of March isn't the second or third month.
Yeah.
We could get in by April 1, and I've seen the process happen. I don't know that it takes that long, especially if we have effective people working for us on our end, and I believe if we continue with the current brokerage firm, we certainly have that.
it's actually a matter of notifying our current people. So there's two timeframes at play. There's the timeframe of notifying who we have now, and then also notifying the state that we're coming in. So that's why they came up with the April 1st. I mean, listen,
I'm very comfortable pledging my public support for this,
yeah.
but what I'm asking is, for the sake of avoiding the cost of grievances and having to hire labor counsel to walk us through potential union issues, should we just delay and really just put not even the brakes on, just maybe slow it down just a little bit? It's happening very quickly. It's a good progression, but I am going to make a motion just to table this based on the fact that I have some concerns with the process, and that's not a criticism other than I wish that we had access to the broker to ask questions this evening, and also that we've really kind of had some large-scale meetings to bring employees and really give employees their.
I just have one point to make.
Okay.
It's not about your motion at all. Mayor, I think that if this matter is carried, you may want to talk to council about whether you have the ability to vote on this, because you have a pecuniary interest in this issue, so you may want to recuse yourself from this.
That's fine, but I think the councilwoman has some legitimate concerns that I.
As I said, I'm not talking about
Okay.
the motion.
But
Even on the carrying motion, you probably should not participate.
I understand that, but I also have a responsibility, I think, to the township and to our public employees. And are you telling me I must recuse myself, or
I believe
because?
you should.
All right.
It's your choice whether you want to. I can't compel you to do anything, but
Well-
I'm giving you the advice that you should, because of the pecuniary issue, and that's under the local government ethics law. I think you may need to get guidance from on that issue.
Okay,
But
well, let's
that's-
have this discussion, please, because there's much to be I think there's much to be discussed further.
Well, there's a motion on the floor, and I guess the question is whether you have a second to move that.
No one can hear you.
I'm sorry. There's a motion on the floor, and the question is whether there's a second to move that motion.
Justin, you make all fair points, so I'm not criticizing your points by
No,
any stretch. Just in terms of, I know last year, actually both negotiations, and actually even before the Public Works and Recreation negotiations even commenced when I first got here, it was always, the comments from the staff, and I'm not going to claim to speak for the entire staff, was, let's go to state, everybody's going to state, and honestly, last year, I just didn't agree with it because it wasn't a lot of savings, and, so I'm comfortable that
Quite frankly,
we,
I don't know that we would have had the votes last year. Speaking candidly, if we had people that needed to recuse themselves from the votes, we
Sure.
would have had 3 members of this council that couldn't vote on that matter.
you're right.
So that would have been a challenge with only 2 members of the governing body being in a position to vote on it.
I actually don't think they had the benefits at that time.
What's that?
I think they didn't have the benefits till after that discussion.
Notwithstanding.
I think, if I remember correctly. But in any event, I mean, obviously this was part of the PBA discussions. Had to spend a little time, I spent some time with the DPW today and the staff. So again, that's a council decision. The brokers, again, don't make recommendations, on these issues. They have somewhat of a financial interest as well, as it relates to.
Mr. Johns, let me ask you a question. Just as we saw 2 weeks ago, when I will say the 11th hour we were getting facts on our renegotiated police agreement, that we never had an opportunity to meet with our labor attorney, something that's been customary, okay, and had been done under prior management in this community. And here we go again, where you're saying you've consulted with all of the parties, maybe the police, but you just alluded to the fact that you just today met with the PBA.
No,
okay?
Public Works and Recreation.
With Public Works, I apologize, today.
Just got this
And I will tell
information
you
on Friday.
that today, that I saw revisions as of almost 3 o'clock this afternoon, where you were making certain adjustments, just to what was to be presented today.
The adjustments that were made today were
So-
merely, let me finish, please,
I
were
didn't
merely
interrupt
legal lingo in the resolution. None of the dollar amounts that I emailed you yesterday in that very detailed email changed by a penny.
But back to.
So they did not change.
That's fine, but back to my point, is that yesterday, we saw this really from you for the first time. For the first time, this is probably, outside the police agreement, this is probably one of the most significant agreements that this council can make. You know, the healthcare benefit package. And, seeing it for the first time yesterday, I mean, I'm just not sure if we've properly vetted it and informed our employees of what's involved in making this change. And not that I'm against making it. I make that very clear to you. Look, I'm not against it, but I am against 11th hour deals on an administration that's leaving or changing, and that our employees, I think if they were canvassed, I'm not sure if they really understand the implications of this, and I think they're entitled to know that. I certainly believe the public works, you know, hearing this for the first time today, and I think the councilwoman brings up, you know, legitimate concerns. We all want to save money, but I have not been presented with what those proposals were. Did we go to just Oxford and the state? Did we, I don't know if people like Blue Cross Blue Shields are in this business.
None of them.
Or anybody else. And, you know, again, we would have had the benefit of our broker, who we pay money to vet this for our benefit. And again, it's just not done.
Well, none of the other companies, they all declined to submit a proposal, which is not uncommon nowadays when it comes to municipal government policies. And the brokers could provide those letters. You know, as it relates to this plan, you know, we're going to always disagree on whether or not something's 11th hour, and I just respectfully disagree with that characterization. I only got this information on Friday, and in fairness to the employees, while I gave them the courtesy to discuss this and go in detail, you know, with the health plan, this is an equal to or better than plan that we have every right to make. And for $458,000 savings,
Mr. James, no one's questioning the amount of money. It's a
No, I'm
question
just-
of that you say you don't agree with the characterization. I think 11th hour plan is basically referred to something that is coming out kind of last minute for people to act upon. Something that you find out about on Friday that you present to a governing body on a Monday, that you're expecting a governing body to vote on a Tuesday, my opinion, that characterization is accurate.
Well,
But
it's
that
not-
said.
it's not complicated material.
Okay, well, you know, Mr. Jimes, if it's not complicated, then maybe we could have spent more time with the employees on that not very complicated material. Especially when I'm hearing that only today you're discussing it with one of our departments, that civil service. So I'm concerned too that in January, the council could be confronted with legal challenges which will cost us money.
Civil service issue has absolutely nothing to do with this matter. I mean,
Well-
the fact that the township is a civil service community is irrelevant. We, you know, again, and I gave the employees the courtesy of knowing the unions were very receptive, both leaders, the leaders of both unions, and it's, you know, it's a council decision. This isn't my decision. It's a council decision. You know, you have the right to do this, whether or not somebody likes it or not, because you're not reducing their benefits. You're giving them in the totality an equal to or better than plan.
As I said, you know, healthcare is a very sensitive thing for a lot of employees. The doctors that people have treated their families for years, I'm certain some of our employees would be concerned, you know, what that impact would be on them. And back to Councilwoman Gillenella's point, you know, I think it's a disservice to our community. I don't think it's something that would have a terrible adverse effect to at least give them a fair opportunity, which wouldn't affect the timing of this, to weigh in on it. But I don't think that's going to be in the cards for our employees. So, that said, that's all the comments I have on it. Does anyone else want to have a comment?
No, not other than the $458,000
This
is
is
a lot
true,
of
which-
savings, and I think it's imperative we realize those savings for the taxpayers.
Well, we certainly do, and I will remind people that the giveaway 2 weeks ago on reducing contributions from 35% to 20% was something that certainly cost the taxpayers a boatload of money. And Mr. Jimes, you still owe me an analysis on, how you concluded that we were going to save hundreds of thousands of dollars. So all I'm asking is following up to my request last time we met, which was you alluded to the fact that by cutting the police agreement, there was significant cut in their contribution, which, by the way, I don't believe the Public Department Works are getting, or the rank and file of our employees have been offered, will not have an adverse effect on our budget and to our taxpayers. So I do expect to, and I think we all should expect to, as public servants, to see, those numbers and how you came up with those savings.
I think the memorandum I sent to council very clearly
Don't-
and put the numbers in there and very clearly gave the argument, just like I did at the public meeting. So I actually, if you went back and looked at the confidential negotiating memorandum I sent, it answers all those
Well,
questions.
maybe you can summarize it in layman's terms then. So
It was 2 pages, pretty good summary.
Okay, well, we can agree to disagree then.
Well,
But
now it's public, so we'll let the public decide.
But again, once again, this agreement, with the PBA in terms of their health care was not offered, I don't believe, to our Public Works, and I'm not sure if our, a rank and file within this building will be given afforded the same opportunity. And I find that to be troublesome too.
Well, they don't have the rank and file that are non-union don't
We
have.
understand.
No, hold on, this is important. They don't have the opportunity for this until July 1st. So when July 1st comes, if somebody wants to offer that, they're more than welcome to. Public Works and Recreation negotiated a different contract. They're 2 completely different negotiating groups. And, I respond to negotiations. And that's, I don't go in there offering things. We do give and take. And I can tell you the Public Works, when they left their contract, was very happy with their contract. And they've expressed that numerous times.
Okay, well, listen, I'm not here to debate this ad nauseum.
Procedural matter, there's a motion on the floor to carry this. Everyone has had an opportunity more than once. There's a motion on the floor to carry, and the question is whether there's a second to carry. And so that's what's on the floor right now.
And you're categorically stating that I should not second that.
I don't think you should, but I'm not telling you, I can't compel you to do anything. I'm telling you that's
Am I
my
breaking
opinion.
any laws? Is it unethical? I
It's
mean,
my opinion that under local government ethics law, you have a pecuniary interest in the outcome, and therefore you
so
should
then
not
I will
participate.
adhere to your, guidance.
So there's a motion on the floor, and is there a second to carry?
Hearing none, it fails.
Wait. This is the motion
Carry
to table?
the table, yes.
Okay.
There's a motion to table made by Councilwoman Villanella. Is there a second to table?
There was nothing. So not hearing that, then why don't we, if anyone has any questions about that, we can go to a roll call on this vote.
Well, now there has to be another motion to adopt the resolution.
We had a motion to
Is there
introduce,
a motion and a second?
Yeah, there
we need a
is.
second.
all we needed was a second. And we needed
We need a second.
I second the motion.
and then a roll call. And you're telling me I should not vote on this either, Mr. Lara?
That's my opinion.
Okay, fine. So I will, please.
Sorry, Mrs. Giovanella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marcus?
Aye.
Mr. Vastine?
Aye.
And Mayor Cleverly?
And I will abstain. May I have a motion on Resolution 2014-164?
Yes, I'd like to move for approval, Resolution 2014-164, to adopt the provisions of Chapter 48, NJSA 52:14.17.38, under which a public employer may agree to pay for state health benefits program coverage for certain retirees.
Is there a second?
Second.
This is the same thing, we're just, when you're doing retirees and active, you just gotta do 2 separate resolutions. I know Bonnie was involved in a pretty lengthy conference call, it was just a matter of getting the legal lingo done the right way, so.
certainly not going to.
It's all reflected in the financial figures that I
I will make for the record my comments on this are ditto to my comments from the previous resolution. Anyone else have any comments? Hearing none, can we have a roll call?
Mrs. Gilonella?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marcus?
Aye.
Mr. Vastine?
Aye.
Mayor Glover?
Abstain. The next item on our agenda is council comments. No, you can come and join us for public comment, which will follow. Thank you. Council comments.
So,
Council comments. Simple. Please.
you know what, I'm gonna wait. I believe that the deputy mayor has some comments to make.
You want me to go first?
I think you should.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. Just have a few words for tonight's meeting. I want to thank the people of Scotch Plains for giving me the opportunity to serve on the town council for the past 4 years. It has been an honor and a privilege for me to serve as a councilman during this time. Those of you who know me know that my motivation to serve on the town council was to try to do my best to serve our town and act in the best interest of our residents and not for any other reasons. I hope that I was able to convey that in my efforts. Scotch Plains and the people who live here mean a lot to me, and I'm glad that I was able to make a contribution to the town that I grew up in, a place that has meant so much to me and my family. I am proud of what I was able to accomplish during my time on the council, knowing that I always put the best interest of the residents of Scotch Plains first. I would like to thank the many people in town who have offered their kind words and encouragement to me over the past 4 years. It has meant a lot, and I greatly appreciate it. There are many individuals I would like to thank for their help and support to me during my time in office. Too many people to name, and I don't want to leave anyone out. There are quite a few folks who mean a lot to me, and I will try to reach out to each of you to personally thank you for your efforts and hard work over the past 4 years. I would like to say a heartfelt thank you to those who I had the opportunity to work with and get to know over the last 4 years. Thank you to the town employees and volunteers that I've worked with. I will always value your assistance and friendship. Thanks to those of you that worked with me to address the issues we encountered, to get things done for our town, to keep Scotch Plains a great place to live. I want to wish a happy Hanukkah, a very Merry Christmas, and a happy and healthy New Year to everyone. May God bless the Township of Scotch Plains and all those who call it home. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments? Council comments, please? One of you-
Yeah, I think you should.
You can flip a coin if you'd like.
I too would like to thank the residents of Scotch Plains. Sometimes as I've said to a number of people that I've talked to over the last 4 years, looking at things from the outside in is a dramatically different perspective than looking from the inside out. The difficult thing I think that we have to deal with is that we know all of the details, good, bad, indifferent, and we have to make decisions based on all of the information and not just the perceived information surrounding a particular issue. And I think that sometimes the public doesn't understand why we made a decision the way we made it. I can say before I joined the council, I would have probably thought differently of decisions that I've actually made on council, not knowing what I know. But having said that, I truly did enjoy and appreciate the opportunity to serve the community. I think it's a great place to raise a family, to participate in all of the great activities. I grew up in Texas, as many people know. It tends to be spread out with large cities, but Scotch Plains is that great opportunity to live in a quaint small town and experience the Christmas festivals and the farmers markets and all of the things that a small town environment brings. I also want to thank my wife and my family. You do take a lot of time away from family. I have two relatively young kids, and they were kind of growing tired of me leaving the house to go to a meeting or another meeting or another meeting. It got to the point where when I put on a jacket in the evening, they were not happy. So I want to thank them for their support and their encouragement, because it did take away from my time with them. But on that note, one of the upsides, I guess, the results of the election is that I will now be able to coach my 4th grade son's basketball team. And so far, that in and of itself has probably brought as much or more joy for me and him, I think, than a lot of things that I've done. So all of you, I wish a very Merry Christmas, a very Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. I wish you all great health, prosperity, and God's peace of mind. And I thank you once again for the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I would like to say something. I'd like to say a couple things, actually. First, I do want to wish all of our friends and neighbors that celebrate Hanukkah a very happy Hanukkah. I'm reminded by my Jewish friends often, it's different than Christmas, but I understand, and it's a special holiday, and I'm hoping that everyone's enjoying some time with their family in the next several days. I talked to Mr. Jimes at the beginning of the meeting. The township's menorah will be lit, so we will make sure that we are properly reflecting the holiday. Christmas is an incredibly special time for me. Unfortunately, within my husband's immediate family, we're once again challenged by illness this year at Christmas time. For those of you who celebrate Christmas like we do, you're eating fish all Christmas Eve, and then you're with the same folks, and you're eating all kinds of other food the next day. Christmas and the holiday season in general is about family, and it's about coming home. And one of the most special things is that we have such an incredible home here in Scotch Plains to be proud of. We have an opportunity in this township to take all of the things that are good, and there are so many of them, and combine them to grow into the strongest community in our area. I think we have a lot of work to do. The talent is here, but we have to find better ways to work together. I've had the pleasure of serving on this council now for 2 years. I have not always had the opportunity to agree with all of the decisions that were made, but I can say this, that there were many accurate statements made this evening about caring deeply for the township, and the thing that I would have to say that I want to make sure that I publicly mention is that you two gentlemen do have amazing families who have given a lot of your time to share with the township, and I think that they are definitely owed a debt of gratitude. You both welcomed me to the council and supported me when I had questions, and I thank you for all of the assistance that you provided me, particularly in my first year. I want you to know how sincere that gratitude is. I hope that you find a great deal of time in your future to continue to contribute to the township. And I hope that whatever governing body sits up here, whether it's next year or the year after that, all of these fabulous pockets of greatness, until we really find a way to work together and be more united as a community, we're just not going to see the results that the residents deserve. I hope that everyone enjoys their holiday season and enjoys their time at home in Scotch Plains for those of you who are visiting.
For those of you who know me, I'm usually a man of relatively few words, but Bo and Nikki, I'd like to thank both of you for putting yourselves forward. For those of us who have done it, it's a unique and challenging experience to put yourself out there for public elected office. I'd like to thank you for your encouragement of me and for your helping me as I've gone through this past year as my first year on council. I wish you both Godspeed and nothing but the best going forward. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you.
Well, this is our last public meeting of the year, and certainly our council will take on a new look next year, and I'm looking forward to serving with our newly elected council persons, Rose Cecchio and John Del Sorte. I know they're going to bring terrific ideas and hard work and change to our community. We have much to do. You've all have paid attention the last year to what we have done, and clearly there's more we should have done, and there's more that we can do. But to echo a sentiment that we've heard here often, we do our best work when we work together, and that's the promise for the new year. To try to work together to represent the interest of those who we serve. Sitting here is an honor. It's a privilege to be able to represent the citizens of Scotch Plains. It's something none of us should ever take lightly. As I said, it's a privilege. It's, and the next year, I believe, will be filled with new ideas, new opportunities that I think this council, your new council, will be up to the challenge to meet. And I look forward to bipartisan agreement, because as I said often, a pothole in the street doesn't know the difference between a Democrat, Independent, or Republican. It just needs to know it has to be fixed. We've heard people speak to the challenges folks in our community have. Not everyone is sitting there with some Wall Street money, okay, that they don't know how to spend. We are a bedroom community of many needs, many with much ethnic diversity and faiths. And I'm counting on this council in the coming year to address the needs of all of our community, north and south, to live up to the expectation, the trust that the folks, place in us. With that, I too want to wish everybody happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Festival of Lights, Merry Christmas, and certainly a Happy New Year. Our reorganization meeting will take place January 1st at 12 o'clock in this chamber. I invite you all to come out and participate in anew. And please do take the time, get involved, and to you and your families, God bless you all. Thank you for the support you give us. And Fred Rossi will love this. We can do better. We will do better. That's what you've asked us. That's what you've elected us to do. So with that, I have only one last bit of business to conclude before we go to public comment. I have in front of me the Giants separation agreement, which I believe I should sign for the record. I've been told that I have to sign it. Mr. Bacon, and you did not. I'm not going through. Excuse me. I'm just saying that I have it before me. It's the last piece of business that I have for the new year. I won't be available tomorrow, so I'm going to sign it because I've been advised to sign it by council. I don't necessarily, as I've shared with you, agree with it, regret it, because I don't think it was in the best interest of the town. But last bit of business on the legal counsel, it's done. So with that, forgive me, Mr. Lair, but I just wanted to be on the record that it was signed. Let us now move on to our second public comment session. If anyone would like to address this council, I'd ask you to please come forward. I know someone.
Mr. Pasucci, Guido, Second Place, Scotch Plains. The next administration should think about changing the rules and the constitution of the township. We cannot leave so much power to one man. That's gotta go. We have to have some kind of form of government where one man doesn't have all the power in town. Because as you can see right now, the guy can spend money, can fire people without anybody, and the taxpayer of Scotch Plains without ever anything to say. The system that we have right now, it doesn't work. And it's been proven this month that the system doesn't work. So at the next township council should take that up and should take ways to explore what we can do to do better what we're doing now, because taxpayers of Scotch Plains are fed up with salaries. You got people moving out of the town because they can't pay mortgages anymore, can't pay rental anymore. And throughout the meetings that I came over here, nobody spoke about what we're gonna do to cut taxes, what we're gonna do to keep the senior citizens over here, what we're gonna do about services. All what we heard over here, at least the meeting that I came for, is people fighting, Republicans fighting against Democrats, Democrats fighting against Republicans. That nonsense next year, the new administration has gotta stop there, and they gotta get down to business and see what they gotta do for the taxpayers of Scotch Plains. I'm gonna be here and keep track of it. On a personal note, as you know, I've been coming to a bunch of meetings over here. Some meetings went okay, some meetings, it wasn't very, very well conducted. I find that some of the meetings, I find it very offensive the way I was treated. I find it very offensive. I came over here, I gave you guys a lot of rules and regulations that you guys didn't even know existed on the books. And one of them was the special use permit. I came over here 1 month and I gave it to you people. And I gave you documentation of everything. I came back the next month and I asked you guys why the rules weren't followed. I had a township council guy telling me that Rome wasn't building one day. I find that very offensive. But guess what, Mr. Mayor? Rome wasn't building one day. We built Rome overnight with the election. One election, we built Rome. With one election. Now, as far as township manager, oh, that's another story, you know? He's the guy that doesn't know how to make meetings. He makes meetings too.
Excuse me, Mayor, I think this is inappropriate.
Excuse me, I'm certain he's gonna wrap up. Just allow him to finish, and let's not make it personal if we can, sir.
Okay, here we'll do. When people come up here, you cannot understand the guys. There ain't no need to roll your eyes, roll your head, because the guy either can't speak English or either you don't understand them. Because it's very rude. It's very, very rude when somebody does that. Now, you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely, sir.
If people don't understand what one guy says, just say, I'm sorry, speak softly, I don't understand what you're saying. Because it's rude and it's arrogant.
Mr. Pasucci, are you the guy that lives behind Darby?
Yes, I did find
that's
out.
right.
I did find out from one of the gentlemen over here that there is
That's
another.
right, you're the guy.
There is another article that I'm the guy. So let's keep that in mind. I wish you guys good luck.
Mr. Vasucci, thank you for coming out tonight, as always.
Carolyn Perkins, 861 Westfield Road. I have to echo some of Mr. Pasucci's comments, but I'm just going to say I'm echoing some of them. As I've sat here for 2 years, I've been retired and I've listened to the council meetings. I really regret that you cannot run without listing your party affiliation. I have a party affiliation. I tried to change it, and if I change it, then I can't vote in a primary for 2 years, okay? Partisan politics does not belong here, because all the people in your community are not just Republicans and Democrats. There's the independents, the conservatives, the libertarians, etc. I just find it very frustrating, and as Mr. Pasucci knows, when the council gets out of hand, that's not a reflection of us voters who voted you in. There is a demeanor that we have to present as professional people to get a job done. And I'm not saying you have to agree with each other, but you don't have to argue and raise your voices because sometimes less said is better. The professional person can nod the head, not agree or disagree, but then move on. On a lighter note, I'm going to say that I wish you well, Bo. It's very important to spend time with your family. I worked all my years, and I was home for my children, but you will never, ever be able to put a price tag on that. The time you spend with your children is so important, and it means so much to them. They may not say it to you in words, but down the road they will, because there's nothing like someone who's always there for you. The same with you, Mickey. Your kids are older, okay? Colleen, you still have younger children, and it's so important.
I haven't seen them lately.
I know you haven't, and I get concerned about that.
They're
and
doing all
Llewellyn,
right.
you've got the smallest of ones, and bless you, because it does take its toll when you're dividing yourself with your job, your commitment to the town and your service organizations, etc., and you're to be admired. I do wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year. I'll be here next year, God willing. But on a lighter note, Mickey, tomorrow the Golden Agers are going to be partying at the Westwood. And we're going to have wine and everything else. So it's a fun thing. That's a good thing about getting to be a
Are you
Golden
inviting me to this party, Mrs.
Are
Perkins?
you? Well, you could come as a Golden Ager, right?
He's the
That didn't sound like a huge endorsement.
Atari's not here, and I'm not president.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
Thank
Perkins,
you,
and we
Mrs.
look
Perkins.
forward to seeing you next year. You certainly have your fingers on the pulse of our community. Thank you again all. Before we adjourn, we need to announce to anybody watching these proceedings, today is December 16th. Council Chambers, the number to call in is 908-322-2076. That number again is 908-322-2076. If you would like to speak to the council. We'll keep this line open for a few minutes, and
It's freezing in here.
we'll go from there.
Did you turn the air conditioner on? Instead of the heat. The other weeks he pumped the heat in.
Oh, we have another, listen, I'm sorry, I was gonna say the public comment section is closed, but you know what, we're gonna make an exception for you.
raised my hand before.
You did.
Truthfully, with this process, I haven't been to the council meeting in probably
It's
7
okay.
years. Mike Arpino, 14 Winchester Drive, Scotch Plains. I gotta tell you, I don't come to a lot of these meetings like I just said, but I'm actually appalled by what the business manager said about $70,000 is not a significant amount of money as a taxpayer, that it wasn't worth switching to the state plan earlier. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but $70,000 to me is a lot of money. So I guess my question is, and Mayor Glover, you seem to have a better handle on this, but I mean, you know, health insurance is a very, very costly thing. And being in business myself, that's one of my biggest challenges is health insurance for my workers. I mean, is the council and mayor taking this seriously? I mean, it seems like this is kind of like just put on the back burner with a bunch of other items, and it seems like we're kind of going in the wrong way, basically. And you know, I want to know why this is not being addressed, and you know, basically why $70,000 is insignificant. Can you explain to me why $70,000 is insignificant? Do you work for free?
I said when you're discussing a change of the magnitude of changing the health insurance, $70,000 in the grand scheme of things, and a $24 million budget, I don't think is worth making the change.
Okay,
That's-
well, I'm glad you're
may I
you're
finish?
leaving, because
Thank
you know
May I
what?
finish?
$70,000 to me is a lot of money.
You don't talk that way.
Well, you know
Well,
what?
no,
I'll
you
say
don't. You have to
$450,000, because that's what I proposed to you tonight.
Listen. Do you have anything further you'd like to
No,
add?
that's it. I tell you
thank-
what, I'm gonna start coming to these council meetings because as a member of the township and a taxpayer, I think we need to do a better job. I think everybody that's the boat here tonight is right, and I think we need to get back on the right track, because when I moved here 11 years ago, this town was on the right track. It's now going the wrong way. That's my opinion.
Well, listen, anyone who comes out, everyone can have a different opinion, and I certainly respect that you came out tonight to share with those sentiments. I agree. No,
And the council agreed with me unanimously last year, by the way.
I
Everybody.
look for, no one's challenging it. I was? Okay. All right. Anyway, hearing nobody calling in, I'm looking forward to next year once again, and we will do better. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Council chambers.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Yes, you've reached the council. This is Mayor Kevin Glover. Your question, or do you have a comment?
I had a question, but I think I'll just bring it into the town hall and ask it.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good holiday. Bye.
Christmas.
There you go. Council chambers. Hello?
Mayor, this is Jean DeTore from the Scotch Plains Golden Agers.
Nice to hear from you, Mr. Torr.
I just heard Carolyn
Yes?
tell you about our holiday party for tomorrow,
Yes, she did.
and she kind of looked at me saying about inviting you to the party.
Not inviting me. I think-
Nikki, I think it was, one of you.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we are having our holiday party tomorrow, and I wish I could have all of you there. But
All right,
you
well,
know, we don't want to bring up the bill to the taxpayers.
Okay, well, thank you for at least offering, and we respect that we want to save the taxpayers some money.
Yes, and you all have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you, Gene. Bye.
Christmas, Jim.
Was it on, what was on, I didn't see a closed session. Did you?
It was added.
Motion to adjourn. Motion to move into executive session. Closed session.
I'm gonna move.
Motion to move to executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Folks, we need to clear the courtroom.
Whereas Article 6 of the Open Public Meetings Act provides that a public body may hold a closed session, and whereas the Township Council will, during this meeting, enter into the discussion of the following matters: personnel, construction code official. Whereas the matters to be discussed in closed session are to remain in the strictest confidence by all Township Council members.
How you
Furtherance
feeling?
of their fiduciary
I'm very
duties
sorry
to
to
the
hear
Township
that.
of
No,
Scotch
Happy
Plains.
holidays.
Now therefore be it
No,
resolved, matters discussed at this meeting will be
for 5 weeks, I
released
think
to
you're
the
doing
public
all
with
right.
the reasons for discussing and acting upon them in closed session.
Blood flowing again, so.
What a
that's all.
blessing. What a blessing.